let's continue our session on quantity surveying and contracts management. So in this session, I'll be discussing about again estimation of a building, quantity estimation of a building by long wall and short wall method. So this is a question we have here: estimate the quantities of the following items of a residential building from a given plan and section. So as usual, we have earthwork in excavation, lime concrete in foundation, first class brickwork in cement mortar, 1:6 in foundation and as well as in plinth, 2.5 centimeter DPC, 2.5 centimeter thickness of DPC, and first class brickwork in lime mortar in superstructure. And this is the plan of a residential building. Here we have, as we can see, we have a drawing room and bedroom number 1, 2, and 3, and we have front veranda, and we also have veranda at the back, and we also have a bathroom attached at the back side of the veranda. And of course all the dimensions are given, and the windows, openings, doors, everything is mentioned in the plan, and the section is also given here. So not wasting much time on these things, let's take up one by one the quantities. So since this is long wall short wall method, we can go ahead in the calculation of quantities by considering individual rooms, like drawing room separately, bedroom number 1 separately, number 2 and number 3 separately, front veranda and back veranda separately, and bathroom separately. Or we can group or club together few things. For example, in this case I'm going to club drawing hall and bedroom number 1 together and calculate the centerline lengths and estimate the quantities of items which is given as per the question in the uh, long wall by the long wall short wall method. Similarly, later on I'll move on to bedroom number 2 and 3, and later on front veranda. I'm calling this area as front veranda and this as backside veranda. So we can group together or club together few things, and also we can do the calculations. So the schedule of openings is also given. The section cross section of main wall is given. As we can observe here, there are two major walls. One is the main wall of thickness 30 centimeter. The other one is of partition wall, which is 20 centimeter. You can observe here we have the bathroom area is of wall thickness 20 centimeter thick. And also section A is given. Section A is shown here in the front veranda portion, and also at the back side we have something shown in the dotted lines. And this is the section where we can observe there are pillars, and or above lintel level we have wall, and below lintel level there is no wall. So this portion, if we consider there is no wall till the lintel level, and above lintel level we just have a wall up to 0.65 meters. So let us move on to the calculation of centerline lengths between the walls. So I'm going to consider drawing room and the left hand side bedroom. So let me move on to AutoCAD so that we can calculate it easily here. So here, as I told you, so this portion, this is I'm trying to represent this front veranda. So this portion is empty. This it is left open, and this portion is also left open, and this portion is also left open. And this is pillar number 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, there are 3 pillars of size 40 centimeter by 20 centimeter, 1, 2, and 3. So in between the pillars we have opening, so that we can easily access the building. So above the lintel level we just have the brickwork to a height of 0.65 meters. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to calculate or club these two things, and I'm going to calculate the centerline length. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to consider this as the long wall, and this also has the long wall, because this is one complete area. I'm going to mark this in rectangle. Now this is one complete area. I'm going to highlight this by some color, red color. So this is one area, this is another area number 2, and this is area 3, and this is area 4. So in order to consider this, in order to calculate the quantities of this area, what I do is I consider this portion, this as the long wall number 1 and long wall number 2, and I'm going to consider this wall as short wall, and again this wall as short wall, and this wall as short wall in area number 1, and similarly in other areas also. So let me start with this area, calculation of this area. Let me calculate the center to center distance between the walls. So in order to consider this, so the thickness of this, if I say center to center distance, it is from here to here, center to center distance. So I need to calculate this length, which is given by half of this thickness, 0.3 by 2, plus the length of this room is 6 meters, plus 0.3 meters is the thickness of the wall, plus 4 meters is the length of this room, and again 0.3 by 2. That is what is mentioned here. So long wall center to center distance is 0.3 by 2 is the outer periphery wall thickness divided by 2, plus length of the drawing room is 6 meter, plus thickness of the partition wall is 0.3 meter, plus length of the bedroom number 1 is 4 meters, and at the end periphery wall thickness divided by 2, the total center to center distance is 10.6 meter. Similarly, if I have to calculate what is the center to center distance of this particular wall, which you are able to see now, this wall is as same as the first wall which we have already calculated, so I can multiply it with number 2, similar quantities, right? So now moving on to the short walls, there are no other long walls remaining. So moving on to the short wall, so I have one short wall here, second short wall over here, and third short wall over here. If I have to calculate center to center distance, something like from here to here, so half of the thickness here, 0.3 by 2, plus width of the room 5 meter and 5 meter, both has to be same because the periphery walls are of same distance, are at the same distance. So 0.3 by 2 plus horizontal distance is 5 meter plus 0.3 by 2. So that is what is shown here. Short wall center to center length is equal to 0.3 by 2 outer periphery wall, half of thickness of outer periphery wall, plus width of the room or drawing hall or bedroom, plus 0.3 by 2, which is equal to 5.3 meter. Moving on to next area number 2, because I don't have to do the calculation again, because if I just do the calculation for one wall, and I can do the multiplication for other 2 walls also, because they are of similar kind. Moving on to the next area, which is this area, bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3 falls into area 2. So here let us calculate the center to center distance of long wall and short wall. If you consider this area, this whole rectangle, which is highlighted now in yellow color, if you consider this whole area, now this is a rectangle. Of course, this is the longer side and this is the shorter side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to consider this as the longer wall, this as the long wall, and this as short wall, this as another short wall. Of course, this wall is already considered. Since this wall is already considered, I don't have to consider again the same area or the same wall in the calculation of the length, because it is already been constructed. Let us assume the construction of drawing room and bedroom number 1 is already done. I have to just construct these areas. So since this portion is already constructed, I don't have to consider it again. So long wall number 1, long wall number 2, short wall number 1, and short wall number 2. So let us calculate what is the center to center distance initially. But center to center distance is from here to here. I hope you are following. So center to center distance is from here to here. Center of this wall is 0.3 by 2, plus the width of this room is 5 meter, plus 0.3 meter is the partition wall thickness, plus 4 meter is the width of the hall, bedroom number 3, and plus 0.3 by 2. So that is what is mentioned here. 0.3 by 2 plus 5 meter is the width of the wall, plus partition wall thickness 0.3, plus 4 meter is width of bedroom number 2, and finally 0.3 by 2 is the periphery wall thickness divided by 2. So the total center to center distance is 9.6 meter. Similarly, I have to calculate what is the center to center distance between the short walls now, which is this length. So I have totally number 1, 2 short walls. If I just do the calculation for one and multiply the same thing for the other one, we can get the total quantity. Now let me calculate this. So half thickness of this wall is 0.3 by 2 plus length of this wall is 4.5 meter plus 0.3 by 2. So short wall center to center distance is 0.3 by 2 plus 4.5 is the width of the width or length of the bedroom number 2 and 3, and 0.3 by 2 is periphery wall thickness divided by 2. So bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3 of course has the same width. You can observe 5 meter is the width here and 4 meter is the width here, but when you consider in long length direction, 4.5 meter and 4.5 meter both has 4.5 meters. The total center to center distance is 4.8 meters. So now moving on to the next area, which is indicated or highlighted in green color. So if I consider green color area or the next area, let us say that this whole construction is done. That is, drawing room and bedroom is constructed, and bedroom number 1, bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3 is also constructed. So I don't have to consider this length again. I just have to consider the length of this wall, which is indicated in dotted line as the long wall, and this wall which is indicated in short dotted lines as the short wall for front veranda. Similarly, if I go to back veranda, I have one long wall which is indicated in dotted lines, and I have one short wall over here, the partition wall for the bathroom, and another partition wall for the bathroom. So totally I have to do area calculation or center to center distance between the walls for front veranda and back veranda. So let me consider front veranda, center to center distance between the walls. How to do that? Let's see. When I say center to center distance between this walls, so it starts from here all the way from here till here. So now if we can observe, it is 0.3 by 2, which is the thickness, half of the thickness of this periphery wall, divided by 2, plus I'll consider this whole length here, because since I do not have any measurements available here, I'm going to consider this length. So 0.3 by 2 plus 5 meter is the width of the wall. So plus 5 meter plus 0.3 meter is the thickness of the partition wall, plus 0.3 meter plus 4 meter is the width of the room, so plus 4 meter. But when you come over here, we can observe the thickness of this wall is only 20 centimeter wall, but here we have 30 centimeter wall. But I need to know the center to center distance. Let's say I've started from here, 0.3 by 2 plus this distance is 5 meter plus this distance is 0.3 meter plus I've traveled all the way till here, that is the face of the wall, 4 meters, plus if you observe, I need to reach this point. There is some distance remaining, but I know there is a gap between 20 centimeter and 30 centimeter thickness wall. The difference is 0.1 meter. So I'll consider this length also plus 0.1 meter because there is difference, plus again half of the thickness of this particular wall, the last periphery wall, which is 20 centimeter divided by 2. So that is what is mentioned here. After 4 meter, it is the difference between 30 centimeter and 20 centimeter wall, which is 0.1 meter, plus 0.2 by 2 is because we are considering center to center distance between 30 centimeter wall and 20 centimeter wall. So that is why 20 divided by 2, 0.2 divided by 2. I get the total distance as 9.65 meters. Moving on to the next calculation, short wall center to center distance between the short wall lengths. So this is what is the center to center distance. The center of this 20 centimeter wall to the center of this 30 centimeter wall. I need to do the calculation. So now 0.3 by 2 here plus this width is already given as 2 meters, plus 0.2 by 2 will give me the center to center distance. 0.3 by 2 plus 2 meter is the width of the front veranda, plus 0.2 by 2 is front wall thickness divided by 2. That will give me the center to center distance between the long wall and short wall. Similarly, moving on to the backside veranda, back veranda with bathroom. Of course, there is some additional room which is built over here. Now again coming over here, this wall is already built because I've already considered that particular length in bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3, and this portion whatever you're able to see here, this is already considered under the first area, bedroom number 1 and drawing area. So the only thing remaining is this portion. This has the long wall. I'm going to highlight it now. This has the long wall for the back veranda. This has the short wall for back veranda, and this has another short wall for back veranda. So now let me calculate center to center distance, which is as same as in case of front veranda, because I'm just going to draw the construction line here, as you can observe. So the lengths are same, as you can observe. So I don't have to do the calculation again, but anyways, for our understanding it in a better way, let's do it again. So the center to center distance between this 30 centimeter wall to this 20 centimeter wall at the end. So because I don't have the lengths available here, what I can do the same length calculation by considering the lengths over here. So this is 30 centimeter divided by 2 plus width of the room is 5 meter plus 0.3 meter partition wall plus 4 meter is the width of the room plus 0.1, because as you can observe, this is 30 centimeter wall and this is 20 centimeter wall, and the difference between these two walls are, as you can observe, 0.1 meter, right, 10 centimeter. So yeah, 4 meter plus 0.1 plus 0.2 by 2, that will get it as 9.65, which is same as center to center distance between the front wall, right. Moving on to the last item, which is short wall. Here we have I have to consider this as the short wall. Of course, I can also consider this also as the short wall. Anyways, we can do the calculation, length calculation for any one of the wall because they are of similar kind. So here I have 0.3 by 2 main wall thickness divided by 2 plus this width is given as 2.5 meter plus 0.2 by 2. That is what is shown here, 0.3 by 2 plus 2.5 plus 0.2 by 2. I'll get the total length as 2.75 meters. Once these calculations are done, the quantity, the center to center distances are calculated for area number 1, 2, 3, 4. The next step is to just calculate the quantity by multiplying the width and depth. I know the lengths, I've already calculated the length. So choose appropriate length by adding or subtracting the distances. Once I get the length multiplied by width multiplied by depth, I'll get the total quantity. If there are similar quantities, you can multiply with certain numbers and get the total quantity. Let's take up one by one. So this is, of course, is known for us. So this is the header of the table, serial number, particular of items, number of such items repeating, multiplied by length, width or breadth, and finally height or depth. So multiplying these things, the product of these things will get this quantity and explanation if there are any. So let's start with earthwork in excavation and foundation for drawing room and left hand side bedroom, which is this area, drawing room and bedroom number 1. I'm going to consider this as left hand side and I'm going to consider this as right hand side. So now long walls. So let us start with long walls. Let's see how what is the next step to enter the value of numbers. How many numbers of long walls are there? Let's see. This is long wall number 1 and this is long wall number 2. So there are 2 numbers of long walls. The length which we have already calculated is, I know the center to center distance. So I know center to center distance already. This I've already calculated as the center to center distance. But now when you look at, let me come back to section here. So this is the center line, which is of course given in the plan also, which I have shown here in the plan also. Let me indicate it in some other color, yeah, red color. So this center line if we consider a section over here, this is how it looks like. This center line remains same for 30 centimeter wall, thickness of 30 centimeter thickness wall and plinth, first footing, second footing, and also lime concrete. Now, in order to do the excavation, what we have to do? So this is the natural ground level, and from here we have to do the excavation till this depth. So the depth is also given. The depth is given in the right hand side here, and width is given on the left hand side here. So if we consider the center to center distance, if I have to do the calculation for excavation, let me consider this whole area now. Let us assume that I'm going to do the excavation for this whole area, the one indicated for this complete length of wall. I'm going to do the excavation. If I have to do that, I know only center to center distance, but I need end to end distance. How to add end to end distance? Just wall thickness divided by 2 here. Just wall thickness divided by 2 here will give me the end to end distance. But if I am doing the calculation for wall only, but I'm not going to do the calculation for wall, rather I'm going to do the calculation for earthwork in excavation. So the easiest way is center to center distance plus width of the item. So center to center distance is known 10.6 meter plus width. What is hold on. So let's consider this. So what is the center to center distance now? Is the total length is given as center to center distance between the walls plus width of the item divided by 2 on either side. So 0.9 by 2 plus 0.9 by 2 will become 0.9. So the total length is 11.5 meters. So now width of the item which are going to calculate now. So the total width of excavation is 0.9 meters. So input that value here. Height or depth of excavation which are going to make. So what is the total depth? Let me do the calculation very quick. So 0.3 is the thickness of the first lime concrete plus 0.2 first footing plus 0.2 second footing, and 0.3 meter of the plinth below the ground level, and above the ground level the plinth is of height 0.6 meter. So below the natural ground level, what is the amount of excavation I'm going to make? So 0.3 plus 0.2 plus 0.2 plus 0.3, I'm going to get as 1 meter, right? So I'm going to input that value as 1 meter. So the total quantity here is the product of these things, so which we will be getting it as 20.70 meter cube, right? Because length is in terms of meter, width and height or depth is also in terms of meter. The product of these things I should be getting in terms of course, meter cube. Moving on to the next calculation, because if we consider this area, again I'm repeating, I'm only considering this area, drawing room and bedroom number 1. I have done the calculation for long walls. This is long wall number 1 and this is long wall number 2, because I've already multiplied with 2 numbers. I've done it. So next, there are no long walls remaining. I am further proceeding towards short walls. So let me calculate short walls. How many short walls are there? So short wall, this is short wall number 1, this is short wall number 2, and this is short wall number 3. So there are 3 numbers of short wall. I have already calculated what is the center to center distance. So I've got the center to center distance as 5.3 meter. I'm going to highlight it here. This is the center to center distance between the walls. So which I've got it as 5.3 meter. Now, since I've already constructed this wall, or since I've already made the excavation for this particular wall, so what is, let me just assume this as the excavation I've made for this particular long wall. Now, if I have to make the excavation for this wall, which is the short wall, as you are able to see here, if I have to make the excavation for this wall, this area is overlapping. I assume you can see here, this particular area is overlapping because I've already done the excavation. This excavation whole area I've done it. I don't have to do this excavation. So what I have to do? I have to deduct it. How to deduct it? So I just know the center to center distance between the walls. This is the center to center distance between the wall. Let me erase this. This is the center to center distance between the wall. So just deduct it, deduct the width of the item divided by 2 on either sides. That will give us what is the clear width. So I need the clear width. So let's say this is already done, this portion is already done. So I need to start my excavation right from here, this portion, not from here, because this is the center to center distance. In order to calculate the length, what I have to do, 5.3 meter is the center to center distance, minus 0.9 by 2, this is 0.9 by 2, this distance is 0.9 by 2 on left hand side, and here also I have done the excavation because this is also another long wall, this is also another long wall. So here I am deducting 0.9 by 2, and here also I am deducting 0.9 by 2. So 0.9 by 2 on left hand side and 0.9 by 2 on right hand side will give me the clear distance. This will be the clear distance. As you can see, this will be the clear distance. This line from this to this will give me the clear distance of excavation which is to be made now. So that is calculated by 5.3 minus 0.9, which is equal to 4.4 meters. So input that into length column, and width of course remains same. Go to the section given. Width of excavation to be made is 0.9 meters. 0.9 meter. Depth of excavation to be made from the natural ground level is of course 1 meters. And the total quantity is product of these things, which is 11.88 meter cube. So once we get these things, we usually after the calculation of earthwork in excavation, long wall and short wall, we have the tendency to calculate the total quantity of excavation. But here, if we observe carefully, we have done the calculations only for area number 1 or drawing area and bedroom number 1. So we still have to do the calculations for bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3. Area of bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3. Let's do the calculation for these things, and also front veranda and back veranda, and later on do the calculation of total quantity. So of course everything has to be in the table form. So moving on to the next calculations, that is bedroom on right hand side. So these two bedrooms, that is bedroom number 2 and bedroom number 3, I am going to consider it as area number 2. I have already calculated the center to center distance. This is the long wall for me and this is the long wall for me. So there are two numbers. So let me start with long wall. There are two numbers, and the length I have already calculated. Center to center distance between the bedroom on right hand side is 9.6 meter. I am going to draw it again. Center of this wall to the center of this wall is the distance is 9.6 meters. I know this as 9.6 meters. Now, in order to make the calculations, in order to make the excavation, let me just draw this over here. So in order to understand it better, I'll just take this as offset. So that this is the plan view, and of course indicates the excavation. Let us assume this is indicating the excavation. This bigger rectangles are indicating the excavations. Because I've already done the excavation for this area, this long wall, bedroom number 1 and drawing room number 1, drawing room and bedroom number 1. When you look at this area, if I just consider the length, center to center distance multiplied by width multiplied by depth, I'm going to consider this area which is being overlapped. Though it is a long wall, what is the equation which we used to follow usually is, or in crude method or something like a thumb rule which we used to follow, in order to calculate the length of long wall, we used to add the width of the item, right? So if I add the width of the item, so what is going to happen? So this is the total length, which is 9.6 meter, plus I'm going to add this width divided by 2, this width divided by 2, so which is 0.9 by 2 plus 0.9 by 2 will become 0.9. So 9.6 plus 0.9 by 2 plus 0.9 by 2, which is 9.6 plus 0.9. But if I do 9.6 plus 0.9 will get me 10.5 meter. But if I do such a calculation and consider the quantities, as you can observe, this whole area is being excavated again, or I'm going to calculate, I'm doing the calculation for this area which is already being excavated already. I have to eliminate this area because as you can observe, this is excavated completely. And if I consider the center to center distance plus 0.9 by 2 over here, so this length will be considered from here. Now what I have to do, since this is already done, I have to consider the centerline distance from here. So this area is already constructed, which is cross marked here, which is already been excavated. I need to consider the excavation right from here till here. I need to do the excavation from here to here, right? So I know center to center distance is 9.6 meter minus 0.9 by 2 on left hand side and plus 0.9 by 2 on right hand side, because center to center distance is only till here, but I need end to end distance of the rectangle. So how to calculate the end to end distance? So this is the rectangle I'm going to consider. This is the starting point and this is the end point. So I need end to end distance between the rectangle, starting to end distance. So that's shown here. 9.6 meter is the center to center distance between the walls, minus 0.9 by 2 on left hand side, because I know the center to center distance is from here to here, but this portion is already constructed. I'm going to deduct this value by half of the width, 0.9 by 2 plus 0.9 by 2 is at the other end, because we have addition and subtraction of 0.9 by 2 and 0.9 by 2. The length is going to remain same as 9.6 meters. 9.6 meters is the length, and width of excavation is not going to change. Of course, the width of excavation remains same. The total width of excavation is 0.9 meters, and height or depth of excavation from the natural ground level for all the main walls is same. This is the section given. So 1 meter. The total quantity is product of these things. So 17.28 is the total quantity. Now moving on to the short walls. So let me erase these things. So yeah. Let us say that this particular excavation is already done for this wall, and this wall as well. Because there are two long walls, as you can observe, this is long wall number 1 and this is long wall number 2. I have done the excavation already. So though this is the thickness of the wall, this is the excavation width, which is of course 0.9 meters greater than the thickness of the wall. Now when I consider the center to center distance between the short wall, this is the center to center distance, I know, but I don't have to make the excavation from center to center distance, because this portion is already being excavated, this portion is already being excavated. I just have to do the excavation for this area only. Now only this area has to be excavated, right? So in order to calculate the length of the rectangle, so I need the length from here to here. How to calculate that length? So deduct this width divided by 2, deduct this width divided by 2, that is the center to center distance, minus width divided by 2 on both the sides. So there are, let's calculate how many numbers of short walls are there. I don't have to consider this wall, I repeat, I don't have to consider this wall, because this wall is already being considered under area number 1. So I just have to consider this as the short wall number 1 and this as short wall number 2. There are no other short walls. So I'm going to consider this value as numbers as 2, and the length is of course 4.8 meter is the center to center distance, minus 0.9 by 2 over here and minus 0.9 by 2 over here. So totally 3.9 meter is the clear distance that I'm going to take up as the length. And width of excavation is going to remain same, 0.9 meter, and depth of excavation from the natural ground level is 1 meter. Total quantity is product of these things, which is equal to 7.02 meter cube. So yeah, once we have done these calculations, we can come up with the total quantity, but of course we still have a few more calculations to be done, which is of course for front veranda and back veranda.